70 years ago, a group of young people opened these doors to the old engine shed at Boston Lodge and embarked on an adventure. They could never have imagined where it would have taken them. But in this video, we'll find out some of their stories and some of the volunteers from new generations that have followed them.
Well, I've always been fascinated by the Ffestiniog Railway from a young child when I saw the cigarette card with Penblwydd Station and Bessie Jones in her national costume. I thought, this looks a lovely railway.
I came up here and stayed in the commercial hotel and walked the line. And when on the very last day, I walked across the cob again and I heard some terrible language going on. I couldn't think what it was. Walked round the corner and there was Alan Garraway and this chap here and Leonard Heath Humphreys trying to put the tractor back on the track. Can I help? Oh yes, come and help. In pouring rain it was too.
I just help with the flowers up at Penblwydd Station, that's all. That's the only connection I have.
But you support Bob in being here?
Yeah, and family. Yeah.
Yeah, we have...
The grandson in particular.
Yeah, the grandson is a fireman, Will Smith, and
he stays with us.
Nigel is the deputy chairman of the society. I had a ride down when they took the engine off the wagons off the engine and we came down gravity, sitting in the back of these trucks. That's the first time in life. I've been photographed about 1,000 times on the way down. But that was one. And when we started out on that, the gentleman that was taking us, he said, "Oh, and this is Bob Smith. He probably made the wheels for these wagons." So I said, "Well, I wouldn't go on those if I were you." They all laughed. You know, we went on and we had an enjoyable time. So the rewards for what we did as a volunteer were there if you wanted to take them.
I worked for S&T for quite a while where I was really useful because everybody else knew what they were doing and I was the one person that could be sent to go and get this or find that or the other. Very handy when everybody else knows what they're up to. And I stayed with S&T until I managed to break my neck while we were working on the line. I was then allowed into the booking office and I haven't been allowed to leave ever since.
So I was born into the railway, lived next to the railway since I was a little baby. First ride on the railway was a few weeks old and my dad is a driver and that's how my parents met as well. They both came to the railway and yeah, so I've lived here all my life basically.
We came through Porthmadog and I saw there's a railway here. Let's stop and have a look. My dad was very enthusiastic as well, so stopped and had a look. Decided we could have a train ride the next day. It was the first year of running to Penblwydd Station. And so we had a ride up to Penblwydd behind a double engine. I was hooked for life. I then joined the society and I'm still here.
I joined the society because, well, I like trains and railways and things, and this is somewhat unique, I think. I'm sure everyone would agree. The scenery, the locomotives, the carriages and the people, it's all just very unique.
Well, I first came to the railway in 1955. Literally about a week after it reopened. And like most young schoolboys in the 1950s, I was mad about trains. I went train spotting as much as I was able to afford. It didn't take me very far afield. But we'd heard about the Torth Lynn being reopened, and then we heard about the proposals to reopen the Ffestiniog. And the Railway Society at school organised a trip down there, and I came on that, and I liked what I saw, and I got hooked straight away, more or less.
Well, I was originally a member, I came a member in 2016 when I was 5, but allegedly this is one of the first railways I ever travelled on when I was very young, so this essentially is one of the places that made me a railway enthusiast, and I still love coming here every day to watch some of the steam locomotives. I love watching all the action, and it's just a lot of fun to come and visit this railway.
From 1971 onwards, I've been here every year. I joined the society in 1972. So that's how I started, and I started volunteering. The first volunteering I ever did was in 1973 at Tannabulk Station, where John Harrison, the station master, looked in his smart uniform. He looked imposing. I was 13, 14, and my grandfather thought, well, he can be trusted. So I asked John, is there anything I can do? So I sold parking tickets to cars there. And then after that, I started, I worked in the shops on buffet cars until I was old enough to start on the engines. So that was in 1976, and I've been doing it ever since. So I've been driving since 1981. I was even a director of the society for 3 years in the mid-80s, late 80s. But anyway, I've carried on. I've not really been a functionary in the society, but I've carried on driving trains.
Got to Penrhyn on the train. One of my mates had been up here for holiday when he was a kid, and he says, we can get off here and we can get a little Ffestiniog train into Portmaddock. So we got off, we walked up into the main street, don't know where it is. Asked the policeman. The policeman says, whether there's one down there, so we just come off that. And he said there'll be a bus in a few minutes, so we don't want a bus. So we gave up. Up there. So we went up there, rattling round the corner came Prince. So my introduction to this railway was sitting in the bug box, the rabbit hut with the chicken mesh on the sides of it, down the Portmaddock.
Well, ultimately it was an article in Railway magazine in January 1956, which was read by myself and a friend at school, and we decided we would come and offer our labours to the company for a fortnight before Easter of 1956.
Right, I first came in 1949, a long journey from Lancashire by Crosville bus. I was on a youth hosteling holiday, but there wasn't one in Portmaddock, so I stayed in the cyclist touring hotel. And I'm now meeting I'm still meeting this weekend the third generation of that family that I stayed with in 49. So henceforth, I came again in 51, 52, joined in 54 on the originals, and I've been going 5 or 6 years after that every holiday until other interests caught me.
So there we go. We've heard some amazing stories from people whose lives have been changed by the Ffestiniog Railway, all thanks to those volunteers that started this whole thing 70 years ago. It seems really rather fitting then, doesn't it, that in this 70th year, Boston Lodge, the workshops here, have been restored with generous help from the National Lottery Heritage Fund. And this summer, you'll be able to take a trip round Boston Lodge, get behind the scenes and hear more of the stories and experience some of the things that those volunteers, those early volunteers felt back in the day.